what are the minimum things you should know? You should know that you are solving problems. So therefore, you're looking at what's going on in the environment, what are changing in the environment. What's changing in the environment is helping you to understand the changes that you can take advantages and the changes that are going against you taking advantages of those changes. So the customers oftentimes bring some positive things, your competitors, most of the time, negative things. You're doing all of this because you're trying to make strategies. These factors that are informing you about what you should be doing next are inside your environment. They're made of the micro elements and the macro elements of your environment. From this, you can derive what's called the PEST analysis, political, economical, social, and technological factors in your environment. So this is something that is extremely important if you are a practitioner. This is not just lip service for academics and just to sound intellectual. If you do this properly in the real world, in the world of practitioners, that's going to help you a lot. Do they do that in the world of academics? Also, they're doing it. So this is something that actually overlaps on both sides. However, the reality is all academics do that, not all practitioners do that. Why do not all practitioners do not do that? Because many of them think it's a waste of time. They think doing research, analyzing is a waste of time. Most practitioners think that you need to hustle. And the more you hustle, the more you get lucky. The problem is when you hustle, is a lot of work in an unknown direction, is you making chance, you're giving chance a bigger space. You don't want chance to be your support. You want research to be your support. But you don't want to do research after research after research and procrastinate. That's also wrong. So why are you searching your environment? Also because you're creating another analysis beside PEST. You're creating the SWOT analysis. The PEST and the SWOT are very similar. The SWOT is more complementary because it's also looking at the opportunities and it's specifying what are the opportunities. Example, Crux. Why was Crux invented? Why was Crux successful? Crux was successful because it was serving a need. It was using environmental factors in order to make a business. What was the environmental factors? Do people wear shoes? Yes. Most people wear shoes? Yes. Are people looking for shoes that are better than the shoes they have right now? Of course. Everything is that way. What is it that they don't like? Well, they don't like the fact that some of the shoes make your feet smell. Okay. They don't like also that the shoes are heavy. Okay. They also like shoes that are not fancy and fun and easy to wear and they don't look old after a week. Okay. Therefore, let's create Crux. Crux was created based on those perceived benefits. Here's a student project that I did with a group of students like you, exactly like you. They came and I told them, create a new business that makes sense. There was no client. They came back and they say, let's create vinyl lists. What is vinyl list? I told them. Vinyl list is based on changes in the market. People are using social media in order to interact and connect. And as they interact and connect, sometimes they do peer-to-peer influences. And vinyl list is a peer-to-peer group work in order to select a vinyl that they would really want. People are grouping each other in order to make decisions. So vinyl are expensive. When you try to make your own vinyl, it's pretty much impossible. But vinyl are becoming more popular. What? Are you kidding me? Vinyl are back? Yes, vinyl are back. People are buying vinyl discs. So can we use the internet in order to create peer-to-peer selection of list of artists that they would love to see in a vinyl and then group those artists? And then if there's enough people that vote for that selection, through thousands and hundreds of thousands of connections and a vote, then people will pledge. And as they pledge, the pledge will turn into a real product that people who have pledged the first will be able to get. Yes, brilliant idea, totally supported by many different things. Some issues, there's some legal issues because the world of music is complicated because of licensing. But when you have look into the detail, it's still very good, and licensing can still be done, maybe not for all artists, but for quite a large number of artists. Brilliant idea. Now, what does a business need the most? And now I would like you to tell me. Money. Many business, not good business people think it's money. It's not money. Market research. Gee, that's good. Help. Well, that's kind of broad. Time, well, yeah, you want a little bit of time, but nobody wants to be slow. A solid business plan. So what do you think, Anna? Go ahead.
A solid business plan.
A
Yeah.
solid business plan. Exactly. Good answer. Now, what is a business plan? And I've asked this to hundreds of people. Many instructors don't really even know. Many business people don't really know what is a business plan. But let's see. Anyone knows what's a business plan? People don't know. So what is a business plan? The problem is when you're running a business, you have a lot of decisions to make. So therefore, people think, I need money, I need investor, I need partners, I need help, I need to get some direction. Therefore, I write a business plan. The problem is people don't realize what is a business plan. In itself, a business plan does not exist. So people think I'm going to write my business plan. My business plan is I buy low, I sell high. Oh, that's your business plan? That's not a business plan. A business plan does not exist in itself. What does that mean? Which means that there's something called HR and team plan that exists. There's an operation plan, there's a marketing plan, there's a legal plan, there's a timeline plan, there's a production plan, there's an accounting and budget plan. All of this exists. And therefore, a business plan is a report that has all of the other plans. So all the other plans are created. So it's like if you're a business major and your major is finance, you're going to learn to do a finance plan. If you're an accounting major, you're going to learn to know an accounting plan. This is just one chapter, if you want, inside the business plan. So a business plan is just a combination of multiple plans. Oh, that's what a business plan is about. Yes. Oh, that's no wonder a business plan is a lot of work. Yeah. No wonder people don't want to do it. Yeah. Are there a lot of people that are doing it thinking they're doing the right thing and in fact it's crap? Yeah. Because they don't understand it's multiple plans that are inside. They skip or they jump to conclusion. So now you go, but if you're a small business, therefore you never do a business plan because it's too much work. So it's great to tell us that a business plan is great, but at the end of the day, when you're a business person, a small business, you don't have time to do all of this. Well, take the time, do 1 page for each. I'm not saying you do 80 pages for each. I mean, that's like if you're a General Electric, right? But if you're a small business, should you do 1 page for each? Oh yeah, you're right, maybe. That's better than nothing. At least you know what you're doing. So people, most of the time, don't know what they are talking. A great challenge of life, knowing enough to think you're right, but not know enough to know that you are wrong. Oh, that's brilliant. That's connected to what the professor just been explaining for the past 22 minutes. Exactly. Neil deGrasse Tyson. If you Google this person, you see he's very, 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 very famous. Gee, I think like famous people. Cool. Now, your value is the value of offer that is perceived by your target customers. What the heck this means? Means there's no right or wrong, which means that if you say something that you're the only one thinking in the world, it's likely that you're wrong, but you could still be right. Everybody could be wrong, you could be right. However, if you're doing that in business, you're wrong. Philosophically, if you think the sun is bigger than Earth, and everybody say, no, Earth is bigger than the sun, you don't have to change your mind. If you know it and you're sure about it and you're smart, maybe you're right. You're the only one to think about that. Don't change your mind. But if you're trying to sell that, maybe you want to start thinking you're wrong. Go and caress people in the direction of the air. Give them what they want. All right, example. Why? This is Bob. Bob is not married. Bob is a bachelor. What is Bob driving? Bob is driving a motorcycle. Is this right or wrong? He's a bachelor. That's okay. Now, Bob is married. Should he still drive the motorcycle? Maybe not. Now, Bob is married and he has 2 kids. Should he still drive the motorcycle for his as a single transport vehicle for his family? No. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean that Bob likes or doesn't like motorcycle anymore. It just means that Bob has to change. And you, as a business person, what you look is for change. And you try to satisfy people change, okay? When you sell breakfast cereal, you don't sell something that you would want to eat, right? I mean, there's so many times that the owners of social media have been telling in social media, in media, I don't want my kids to use social media. Oh, that's interesting. How would the most famous social media maker and billionaires are telling us that they don't want their family to use social media? That's interesting. It's possible that these cereal are not actually be consumed by the owners of the cereal. Why? I don't want to get into that, but it's possible. Because they make this cereal not for their family. They make this cereal for people. People that they want to sell stuff. Now, here's a product, but you have two. Which one is better? The $19.99 or the $69.99? I don't know. At the end of the day, you don't know, but it's all perspective. There may be someone saying, oh, the $19.99, they look the same. I like value. I'm going to buy the $19.99. It looks the same. It does the same. It's cheaper. I buy that one. Or someone else will come, no. You get what you pay for. I like a blender that works. I don't want a blender that sort of blends. I'm going to buy the $16.99 because it's more expensive. It's more expensive. It's better. You're all correct. You all won. But it matters is who you're selling it to. If you're selling it to a no-frill person, don't sell it for $69.99. If you're selling it to someone that is looking, that has more vanity, that believes more expensive is better, sell it more expensive. Why would you sell it cheaper to someone that wants to pay more? That makes no sense. So reality of business, it's a game. It's a process to make money. Do all academic professors say that? No. I would be impressed if there's 1% of business professor that says that. No. Practitioners, is there a lot of practitioners that says that? I would say if you take the successful practitioners, probably 99.9% says that. Oh, wow. Could that be the secret about business? There's many secrets, but that's one, is business is about making money. Even for a non-profit organization, oh yeah, for sure. Business is about making money. Money is about understanding opportunities, solving a problem, not creating problem and talking about problems all day. Oh, I have these problems, I have these problems, I have these problems. A business person is a solution provider. A business person is a money maker. And he pushes people in the direction that people want to be pushed. So here's a four-cylinder engine. This is the range of prices. There is a six-cylinder engine. That's the range of prices. Here's an eight-cylinder engine. It's the range of price. So you can sell it the cheapest, 44,000, or the more expensive, 100,000 and more. But then there's a smarty pants. He comes and he says, you know what? I'm going to call my engine a V Grandmaster Turbo XL8. Why would you do that? Because people are dumb. They're going to see the number 8 and think it's 8-cylinder. They're going to see V. They're going to think it's a V, it's better. They have no clue, but they think it's better. It says V. It says Grandmaster Super Pro XL. The name sounds better. So they're going to buy the one with the name that sounds better, but in reality, it's only 2-cylinder. And therefore, you're going to be able to make more margin. How do you make more money? You make more margin. Wow. That's rocket fuel science. So how do you make more? So here's an example. What is this? 20 grand vodka cognac. Oh, no, that's not what it is. This is a brand that was created by a guy with little money. He became a millionaire in just a matter of a few weeks. People bought this thinking it was some kind of cognac or vodka. It didn't matter. They were confused. And by being confused, it allowed this person to sell a vodka, which is extremely cheap, with people thinking it's a cognac, which is extremely expensive. So there's something written in between. It says vodka, but in very small, infused with cognac. Oh, infused with cognac, what does that mean? That means that you make vodka and then you take some cognac and you walk inside the room where you are making the vodka. You just walk there. You just go by there and you hold your cognac and you go in the room and you go like this. I'm infusing. Then you put a lot of caramel inside the vodka and then you write the word cognac very big. And then people look at that and go, oh, I'm busy. And then they see, whoa, it's cheap. It's big. It looks good. It must be good. Anyway, that's what people do. Here, last June, artist sells invisible sculpture for over $18,000. That's not a joke. He told people that he made an invisible sculpture and someone bought it for $18,000. Like right now, I'm holding it. Can you see it? It's beautiful, isn't it? That's the 18. Actually, I'm the dummy that bought it. Here it is. I bought it $18,000. I think it's a really good value. I'm going to try to sell to somebody else for $25,000. Wait a minute. Let me change that. $25,000 is still too cheap. Maybe I should sell it for $100,000. Let's go. $100,000. My invisible sculpture. I think it's so beautiful. And there's a benefit with it. You can take it with you everywhere. Dummy. So what you do when you're a business person, you look for problems, you look for solutions, you look for what the other people are doing, you look in your environment, you look for the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. Be curious. Look at what I call the OIST. Look for my OIST PowerPoint in Canvas. Download it, start working on it. I think it'd be a cool idea when we meet next week if you had the OIST and if we were starting to talk about the OIST. I will give you feedback on what you sent me today. And there's a team that sent it to me last night. And I want you to start working on your OIST. Be curious, come back next week, put your camera on. What is epistemology? Epistemology is it's a philosophy that talks about the fact that you should only look at knowledge, real knowledge, because knowledge is what we know and knowledge is what we can measure. Here's an example. A known carcinogen found in some popular sunscreen. That was last June also. So last June, they found 74 brands of sunscreen that gave you cancer. What? You must be kidding me. Doesn't sunscreen, the purpose is not to get skin cancer? So are you telling me that there's a sunscreen that you put, like you could stay in your bed and put that sunscreen and you would actually get skin cancer? Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. So sorry. 74 brands removed from the market. Then you're thinking, where does he find all of these things? Well, those things, you can find it. It takes you 10 seconds with Google if you use one eye, one finger. 10 seconds. However, they don't put it on the first page of every newspaper for a week because obviously these big companies are advertising in this newspaper, in these media, and therefore they don't want to be like a bad guy and sort of bang on what makes them money. My first marketing job was to impersonate other people, write fake news and fake reviews to hype up my clients. O.R. Butler is the name of an imaginary London restaurant. The shed at Northridge, which he successfully got verified at TripAdvisor after providing a phone number, address, and a website for his restaurant. It soon became London top-rated restaurants. True story. Again, one figure, one eye, and Google, and you can find, this is a true story. I actually put some sources there. TripAdvisor was recommending his restaurants. There was someone making a joke showing that people are dummy and they can be swayed away and bought for nothing because you can make them believe anything. Knowledge is a perspective. What is a perspective? So what is marketing? Marketing is the delivery through the process of customer satisfaction, which means people like it, they want it again. At profit, you need to make some money, even if you're a non-profit organization, because otherwise you can't grow. And long term, which means you don't rip people off right away, later. Here's a company, Union Wine Co. They were selling wine called Underwood. and they were not selling much wine. 2005 to 2015. So that's, 8 years just slugging away, trying to sell wine. Was the wine good? Yeah. Was the bottle good? Yeah. Was the label good? Yeah. Why were they not selling wine, do you think? Because they had a good wine, but lots of people have good wine. They had a good bottle, but the same bottle as everybody else. They had a good label, a good name, a good everything, but like so many other brands. What? You're telling me if you have all of these good things, you can't succeed? No. Oh, I'm so bummed. Then they wanted to do an event. And at this event, at the last minute, something horrible happened to them. Is the venue where they had the event told them, sorry, no glass bottles allowed at the event. And they went, what? We organize the catering. We organize everything. Everything is set up. Everybody's coming. You're telling us we're not going to be able to have this thing going on because we can't have a glass bottle? Yes, sorry, good luck. And then they went, what can we do? What can we do? So then they found someone that was going to bottle the wine in some aluminum can. And so they said, you know what? It's horrible. We're going to have aluminum can. So they made this aluminum can. They served it at the event. And everybody at the event said, wow, I love your idea, your innovation of serving wine in an aluminum can. How brilliant. And then they went, should we tell them that this was because we couldn't have glass bottle? Don't tell them anything. Tell them this was on purpose. And then they say, yes, exactly. That's on purpose. We did that. Then overnight, the company became a several $1 million, slugging away 1, 2, 3,000 a month to hundreds of thousands a day sales. So then you're going to go, Professor, I'm so confused. All the stuff you're saying is confusing. My head doesn't get it. How became successful? They became successful because they serve a need. Okay. A need that was already existing. Okay. Like what? Well, people wanted smaller container, just not a full barrel. People wanted to have a can because they used to drink their Coke in a can, their Dr. Peppers in a can. And they wanted to put it in the bag and put it in the picnic and take it away. And it was more convenient, not for every day, but for certain situations. So therefore, that was satisfying a need of a specific situation that the bottle was not satisfying in those situations. This was improvement. Wow. So are you telling us, I get it. So it's improvement. So when you grow a business, you improve, you find changes, you find what people want, you serve what they want. But does that mean you have to be lucky and something that happened that is bad to you, and from this bad happening, you get lucky because you do something that sounds dumb, and then that dumb thing becomes, no. This was an example of someone that got lucky. You don't want to get lucky in business, and this is why you do a business plan. Remember the business plan before? If they had done a business plan, maybe they would have found that an aluminum can was a good idea. Did they do a business plan? No, they got lucky. So I'm not telling you to get lucky. I'm showing you an example. I have another one from a student from CSUN. The student came and said, Professor, I have this idea. I realized my grandma, she's constantly confused with the pill that she should be taking today, constantly confused. I had this idea of making a timer cap, which is that you know when you open the cap, you know when you close the cap. That way she knows she already took her pill. Did I take my pill already? Oh, I think I did. Or maybe it was yesterday. Oh, I'm so confused. Maybe if the cap was telling me that I opened, and now I know that this was 2 hours ago, and therefore I know I took it today. The student said that. The student didn't tell me. I thought of a cap that when you open it, it tells you the time that you opened it. And I say, why? And say, I don't know. I think it's good. No, he said, my grandma forgets because older people forget. Older people forget is an opportunity. Yes, all people forget. Beautiful. So I'm going to give them a solution, a timer cap. So invented the timer cap. Student from CSUN. If you go now to CVS, are you going to be able to see the timer cap? Yes. If you go to Walmart, are you going to be able to see the timer cap from that student? Yes. If you go to Costco, yes. If you go everywhere, that student now has a big cigar, a yacht, and a Bentley. What did he do? Very simple. Opportunity. And then develop the product. So, okay, I get it. I want to be like your student that was successful and made millions of dollars. How do you do that? Find opportunity. Where do you find opportunity? In the environment, micro and macro, okay? and you need to do research. There's 3 layers of research. One is called exploratory, which is secondary data that already exists. So you do Google search. Okay, what else can you do? You ask someone, hey, Bob, what do you think of a timer cap? Show it to me. Here is a sample. Oh, it looks cool. Oh, I like that. Oh, I don't like that. Perfect. That's exploratory research. Next, you do descriptive research after you've done exploratory. What is descriptive research? You create a questionnaire with 20 questions. You give it to 2,000 people. Great. And then you do statistical analysis based on the question and all that. Fantastic. Next, you do an experiment. That's the next one after the descriptive. It's deeper, more scientific. It goes more and more scientific from the top to the bottom. And the experiment is you try to really see how much people like it by measuring them, using the product and asking them before and after through some experimental simulation what they like best. All right. Any questions? I see an hand up. Okay, maybe it was from before. And I had his hand. I think it was the question before. Excellent. So now, how do people think? People think based on their culture. The largest, more influential characteristics that makes people make decisions is not who they are. When I ask this question to 200 students, why do you make decisions? Is people tell you, because I'm Bob. What do you mean? I'm Bob. I'm an individual. I'm myself. Nobody is like me. We're all different. We all have a DNA. We all have a fingerprint. We're all different, and all different people make decisions. Wrong. Big percentage of what decision you make is based on your culture. If you are Asian American, it's likely that you don't make the same decision as if you are Hispanic. If you're a student, it's likely that you don't make the same decision as if you are a retired person. So different cultures, different subcultures, different social class, that's what has the biggest impact. But not just that. Which group do you belong? What is your family think? And what is your role? Are you the executive? Are you the leader? Are you married? Are you a mother? All of these different roles have an impact. Personal is your age, if you have a relationship, if you have a job that is X, Y, and Z, different job have an impact. If you make money, if you're on the, if you're unemployed, if you're someone that has a specific activity, I don't know, maybe you play golf, maybe you play baseball, these will make you a different person. A golf player versus a baseball player will have different way of looking at the world and what they consume. You could be doing both, and then that makes you different than someone that just does golf. So every role and play and things and lifestyle that you have an impact. Your personality. I like new things. So therefore, every time I see new, I buy it. Every time they launch something new, I buy it. I'm ready to buy the iPhone 16. It doesn't exist. Okay, but when it exists, I'll be the first one to buy it. The opposite of that is no, I don't buy what's new. I buy what's old. I don't buy what's made outside of the USA versus I buy what's made inside the USA. I don't like change. I love change. So all of these are different personality traits and they influence on how you consume. Then are you, how interested? How much do you feel that you need this product? That's your motivation, your perceptions, how much do you know about something, your beliefs and attitude, all of that have an impact, all right? But there's also something that you all know, and I just want to point it out. Maslow hierarchy of needs is also very important. So you can review this on your time because I want to jump to the just noticeable difference. The just noticeable difference is what you have to change to what you're doing in order to be perceived as better. So is it good? So one would think that it's great, that it's better to change as much as you can. No, it's not better. Why? The more you change, the more people may see it's too different. The more you change, the more they may perceive that it's going to be too much effort for them to learn what you're doing. You may be too different. In addition, you may be too futuristic. In addition, you may make it too hard for yourself. So for the next generation of product that you're going to make. So therefore, I should change the least as possible. No, because if you don't change that much, people think there's not enough change. Therefore, it's trivial. Oh my God, it's complicated then. It's complicated. So you need to find the exact amount of change that you need to have in order to have enough innovation, newness, that's going to make people want it. So obviously, J&D does not work for the same just noticeable difference is not the same for everybody else. It's not universal. It's the amount of change that you need to have to a product for someone to want it. It's going to be different from somebody on the East Coast, the West Coast, a man, a woman. So you have always to create your J&D based on who's the J&D is for. So what would be the name for the J&D that a common person would understand? Call it the cherry on top. What's the cherry on top? Okay, because Professor, I think I'm going to forget the J&D. It's too intellectual. But the cherry on top, I get it. Here's an example. This is a company that we worked with the students before, Weetabix. Weetabix, is it famous? No, at least not in America. Weetabix is the #1 breakfast cereal in the United Kingdom and in Australia. Does it exist in America? Yes, but for some reason in America, it's like number 1,622 best cereal. In United Kingdom, #1. Gee, that's interesting. Cultural, remember cultural? Yeah, that's the impact. So why do Americans don't want it? Why? Because if you show this breakfast cereal, the box, the packaging to someone from the UK, they get turned on. Ooh, I want it. Ooh. You show it to an American, they go, boring. It's boring. But then you go, gee, don't Americans want whole grain cereal? Yeah, but they don't find it very sexy, that bar. So then you say, okay, let's make it sexy. So that's what the students say. Opportunity, American want it sexy. Opportunity, the American wants something else. So what do the Americans consume? They consume Ensure, a ton of Ensure. They also consume Go-Gurt. And then they want their whole grain. So why don't we create Go-Wito? Go-Wito is the tube with whole grain yogurt that they can drink fast. Because a person in the UK is going to take a bowl, is going to sit down, is going to eat, is going to have a conversation. Some Americans are going to grab the food, jump in their car, drive 2 hours in the traffic on the 405, and then say, I need to have my breakfast, my good breakfast. And they're going to have on one side, one hand somewhere, and on the other side, they're going to squeeze some food in their mouth. Different culture. It's okay. There's no right or wrong. It's just different ways. So you need to adapt. How do you know all of this? You do research. There's stages of research. First, you recognize the problem. You identify some solution. You look for more information. You evaluate the alternatives, A, B, C. Then people choose B. And then you see why they choose B. That's their satisfaction. People adopt product at different stage. Again, because there's different income, different social class. There's people that buy at the very beginning when you launch a product, and there's people that buy at the very end. And there's a group of people that are in the middle, the sheep, that just follow the innovator. But they follow at different time. Some people are soon after the innovator, and some people are much later after the innovator because they are sort of lagging behind. So when you sell a product, you can't sell it to everybody. You have to pick who you're selling it to, and that's called a target. Positioning is the image you're going to give, and segmentation is how you break it down. This is called STP. STP is critical to know when you're in business because that's how you break the market into small groups through segmentation, selective group through targeting, and positioning is the message, the image. So when you look at breaking down people, how do you do that? You use the characteristics of consumers. I had it just before, we discussed that. What's in there is how you break people down. And it's back there again, same thing. So you break it down this way and you try to find some ways that are meaningful in order to develop your targets. You could have one product, one target. You could have one product, multiple targets, as long as they can be grouped together. Or you could have, and that's very, 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 very rare, almost doesn't exist anymore, is one product for all. That does not exist anymore in the world that we live in, but I just need to mention it because it could happen, but it's very rare. Which one of the STP is the most difficult? By far is positioning. Positioning is defined on a set of attributes, which is what do people think? What do you want people to think, have in their mind when they think about you? Vons supermarket. What is the positioning? Vons is value. Okay. So you can make maps. Perceptual map is the map the business owners make based on sets of characteristics. So here's an example that shows the different characteristics, the different brands, and how they perceived within these different characteristics. Perceptual map made by the business owner, positioning map made by the consumer. It's two different maps. So here's just a summary of what I just explained, which shows from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do you do first? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Positioning should be done at the end. The reality in practice, most business do positioning first. So they do PST. PST is very difficult because then that means that you create something and then you push it, you ram it to people. And that's not good. You should think about the people, create the product, and tell them what it is versus creating a product and then wondering, it's like, oh, we created this product. Who is it going to be for? That's not the way to do it. So here's another example with arrows at different, this equal this. These are exactly the same thing, but they are just different graphs and they're sort of explaining by showing you that when you create the target is a combination of the segments. And therefore, when you create a target, you give a name to the target. If you are curious about this, and you should be, because that's sort of the 101 of the world that we live in, it's also called the persona, Persona. So if you go on Google and you put business and persona and search, you'll see this huge amount of literature that talks about this process. So now I jump into strategies because that's a big one. Strategies and tactics are connected, but one leads the other. You start with a strategy and then so you have one strategy, many tactics versus the opposite. So you have to think first strategic and then tactical. Before you do this, and this is true for a company that already exists, not for a company that is a startup, because the startup doesn't have many products and you don't know how good they are doing. Company that already exists, you can see what products do they have and which one are doing better. When I was running bakery franchise, this was a bakery, and it was interesting because we were known for our bread, yet we were making margins and revenue because of our coffee. So our coffee was our star, when in fact, what we were known, the cash cow was the baguette, the bread, the breadsticks that we were selling. People in America don't buy a lot of breadsticks. Why were we making breadsticks? Because most of the breadsticks that you buy in the US are not good. And therefore, we are making a strong reputation on our breadsticks, which made us different than the other bakery. And we could grow our reputation on that. And then drag the people. They would come in, they would buy coffee because they always do. And then we'll be making profit because of the coffee because they always do. So they'll buy one breadstick a week and one coffee a day. You've got to go with the flow. If it's that way, that's the way you go. So you have to do what's called benchmarking. You have to analyze what are your competitors doing. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. You don't want to go face to face with your competitors. You want to find your space. You want to find where your competitors are. You want to find where your targets are. You want to find your special positioning within this map. Okay. So benchmarking, I put it in here. To me, there's 11 key points in benchmarking. Who are your competitors? What are their strengths and weaknesses? What are their strategies? Who are their targets? What's their positioning? What's their price? Where do they sell? That's the distribution channels. What are their strategy in terms of innovation, product line? How many old new products do they have? Are they good in integrating communication, which means that they have social media, advertising, and promotion well integrated? Do they use trade leverage, which means that do they buy out suppliers? Do they have special relationship with intermediaries? Do they have special staff and partners that help them be better in the market as having a trade leverage? Benchmark, not just in the USA, but benchmark across other countries, because you may be not in Mexico, but when you do a benchmark, as if you were in Mexico, you actually learn about what competitors are doing against one another in Mexico, and then you find an idea that you can bring back to the USA, and then you become more successful. People do that every day. There's books that are written just on number 11, but I try to summarize based on my experience, what are the different things. If you Google benchmarking, what you see here from 1 to 11 beats any best sold book on the subject. Believe me. So going back to strategies, does it work? Here you have 3 Russian dolls. They're 3 of the same size. So I'm going to call them 3 strategies. Now, when you look at here you have a family of Russian dolls, which means the smaller one goes into the next size, the next size into the next. They embed, they go one into another. Strategies are that way. Like I said, you have one strategy, multiple tactics. So what are the basic strategies? Is you have the market penetration strategy, which you should have learned before. A lot of the things I'm saying are things that you've heard before, but I don't know how it was explained to you. So I want to summarize back all of this. So market penetration is selling the same product to the same people. So you sell Coca-Cola to people in Los Angeles. Product development is going to be the same people with the new product. So it's going to be cranberry Coke, flavored Coke. I don't think it exists. I just made it up. Market development is you're going to sell Coke, the same Coke, but to a group of people that are not known to buy the product. So these people are, it's like selling Coke to retired people. Let's say they don't buy Coke, retired people. Diversification is selling else than Coca-Cola. So suddenly you sell ice cream Coke by Coca-Cola. Diversification is not just a new product for a new market. It's more than that. Diversification is a totally different product. It would be like Coca-Cola selling beers. It would be like Coca-Cola selling electric cars, something extremely different. Okay. So other strategies is the competitive strategies. Overall cost leadership is you trying to sell the cheapest product. Focus is you're very much looking at a specific group of people and only selling to that very specific group of people. Differentiated, which will be that your product is different than other ones. So that's like Apple in 2003, 2004, selling laptops. It was a different system. It works differently. It's not for everyone. Think different. Remember that was their slogan back then. Think different. Obviously, they can't use that anymore because now most people buy an Apple or dream of buying an Apple. Therefore, it's not think different, it's think the same. If they had a new slogan, but they don't want to say that because they still want people to think that they are different. Middle of the road is you have a strategy that consists in not being so special. You're sort of trying to cover a wide group of people. Other strategies is operational excellence, which means that the process of buying your products is really good. Streamline. Customer intimacy, which means that it's a strategy. It's not a tactic, it's a strategy which consists in being very close to your customers. Is you have a club, there's a club that is growing, and they are almost like partners in buying your product. IKEA, Volkswagen, Harley Davidson, you know, that would be the customer intimacy that they have because of the club and the people that sort of passionate about those brands. Product leadership is you will be the one that constantly brings the product that is the tip top of the moment. Tesla could be in there. Apple could be in there because they would be perceived as the best in their category. Tesla being the best electric car, probably not the best car, but the best electric car. And that's what people will think. Market leader is a strategy that consists in having the biggest market share. Market challenger is the strategy consisting of realizing that you can't have the biggest market share, but what you do is you very much follow closely the competitor that has the biggest market share. So you sort of learn quickly from them and follow them. Market follower, it's sort of like a lame marketing strategy that consists in following the challenger and the leader, but you have a step. There's a time delay, obviously, in being the market follower, but you save in copying them by having not to invent much. So legally, it's illegal, but you try not to get caught by copying them without being caught. Market nicher is when you focus on a specific group of customers. So it's the same thing as focus here. There are different strategies, the competitive strategies from different philosophy stream, but the market nicher and the focus are the same thing as a small group of people. So now the next slide I have are very much the same, but philosophically, you need to understand that you have bigger, medium, and smaller. So bigger are your business objective. The next level are your strategies that fulfill the objectives. And then the next level is called the plans, the mix, the marketing plans. So in this, you'll have the 4 Ps, and inside the 4 Ps, you have to think about the objective for each one of the P, and then the sub-strategy, so the strategy at the P level, and then you have the tactics. Okay, so that's something that you probably never seen, that even the MBA students, the P students that do a master are confused. And I think they are confused because when they did a bachelor, they didn't get it. So I'm trying to teach the bachelor students to get it. So if they do a master, they get it. Or if they go work, they are not confused. They know the order of things. So this slide is a slide that you want to keep. Unless you become a Uber driver or cook, maybe you don't need to remember this slide. But if you become a business person, you need to remember that slide because it's sort of the 101. You know, it's like a nurse trying to draw blood. There's a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. You want to remember it because if you're a nurse, you will draw blood. It's like you're a business person. You want to remember this because you're going to need it. First thing, the big idea, the objective, then the strategies, then the 4 Ps. Inside the 4 Ps, you have sub-strategy, sub-objectives, and then you have your tactics, which are the detailed things. I will bring this back because I've already read 2 of the SWOT drafts that were sent to me. And I could see a lot of mistakes and people being confused between strategies, tactics, objectives, opportunities, and all that. It's a little bit of a mess. It's the mess that I'm used to see 100% of the time. What I've seen is not worse than what I usually see. It's actually above the average, but I'm just going to have to teach you on what is what. And by the end of this class, you will be more prepared to understand what is what. That's my plan. So here again, same thing, nothing different. It's a repetition. It's like you have the big Russian doll, the medium Russian doll, and the small Russian doll, okay? Because there's an order. And that one is a combination of everything. Is you have your marketing strategies, and then you have your tactics, and your tactics as it belongs to the 4 Ps, and inside the 4 Ps, you have your sub-strategies. What's important to know is when you have a business and you are successful, you are in danger because you're successful right now. Things don't stay the same, things evolved, and things are going to be not as good if you don't do something in order to keep being number one. To keep being number one is you need to create new products, new services, new ideas, or whatever you want to call it, in order to have a generation of success. It's like you have the iPhone 1, the iPhone 2, the iPhone 3, the iPhone 4, right? And they keep your business alive and growing, and that's what you're trying to do. This is obviously overlapping what you just seen before, which is the different categories of product are going to, different people adopting the product. So therefore, there's a thing called the product life cycle, which is the cycle which every product goes through. It's just that some products stays a long time in introduction and a short time in growth and a long time in maturity and then a very long time in decline. There's no fixed set situation. Every product is different, every brand is different, and therefore you have to know where you are and then program the next generation. So yeah, if you look at the Mercedes lasts 6 years. If you look at a Toyota, Toyota lasts 2 years. If you look at a Kia, Kia lasts 1 year. Every year they launch a new Kia. Every 6, 7 years, they launch a new Mercedes-Benz, and BMW is sort of the same. So different brands, different products, different targets is looking for different changes at different times. It's just the way things are. And we live in a world where things are going faster, which means whatever those brands were doing 20 years ago, 50 years ago, it's even faster. It's shrinking, and therefore they have to do things faster and faster and faster, all right? So what happens is for each one of these different stages your product is going through, there's going to be different emphasis of what you should be doing. At the beginning, you try to get people more to know about the product. Then you focus on growing your market share. Then you focus on defending your market share and growing your profits as overall. And then you try to minimize your costs and you decline the product. This one is exactly the same, but with more details. So what strategy comes to be the one that most of the time you get to hear about? New product development. Let me zip back very quick to the strategies. If you go to a business school and you sort of have amnesia after the end of the 4 years inside the business school and you have a bachelor degree, hopefully your amnesia did not forget a few things. What is it that you should not be forgetting? You should not be forgetting the generic marketing strategies, those 4 boxes. Why? Because those 4 boxes are probably 75% of the strategies used in the world. So if you go in business, you should at least remember the full name that sort of covers 75% of the situation, right? I mean, if you don't do this, you will be as knowledgeable as the common man or woman that didn't study. In addition, in the world we live in right now, you have to be very careful because people are using the internet in order to learn. And therefore, it doesn't take very long to figure out that in business, there's 4 strategies. And you wouldn't want to be someone that went through the bachelor and you remember nothing. So you want to remember that. Of that, the white box here is called product development. Product development is therefore made of 8 stages, 8 steps. I should say at least as a minimum 8 steps. What is the first step, the second step, the third step, and all of this are the steps that you should know. What do we start with? We start by coming up with ideas. Then we select, we filter these ideas. Then we develop some concepts. We test this concept. Then we come up with a strategy in order to launch this concept. So there's all kinds of things that you need to do in order to grow this thing. Business and running this business and writing a business plan as an important element, which is the marketing plan. And inside this marketing plan, you have to talk about the 4 Ps. What are the 4 Ps? Gee, I remember I took this class with Professor so-and-so. There was a P that was product. There was another P that was price. There was another P that was promotion. And there was another one that was, what was the other one? What? You can't remember that one? That's product. Probably the most important. Don't forget it. Oh yeah, that's right. So you want to remember what's a strategy. You want to remember what are the 4 Ps, because when you're a consultant, if you don't remember that, I mean, how can you be consulting and giving anyone any advice is if you don't know these? You need to know these. No, this is more details, but when you look at a product, what's a product? A product that is anything that can be offered. It can be an ID, don't drink and drive, an organization, the army, CSUN, location, Hawaii, Beverly Hills for real estate. It could be a service, fly United Airlines. It could be a good, Coca-Cola is a good. And it could be a person as well. What do you mean a person? Well, you could market Trump versus Biden, Ariana Grande versus Nicki Minaj. Okay, so people are also being marketed, and that's all part of product. Product is the big name, the generic name, and inside you have goods, services, IDs, organization, people, location. Oh, wow, interesting. And these are broken down into an onion shape with the core, Nicki Minaj, entertainment, the next layer, the reputation, the different songs, you know, all of that. And then the augmented product for Nicki Minaj would be, you know, the concerts maybe she does, even though the concert could be the actual product, I suppose. No, maybe the concerts are the augmented and the actual products are the MP3s that you will be downloading. All right. So what else? When you have a business, you rarely have just one product that you're trying to sell. You have multiple products. So you try to think about the consistency between these products. One is a cheese, one is a yogurt, and the other one is meat. Cheese, yogurt, meat, I guess it's food, but meat is different because the other one are dairy and meat becomes a different category. So maybe you go and create a different brand for the meat that you have for the cheese and the milk. Fine enough. So you have to think about the width, the depth, and the length, and the consistency of all of these characteristics. You have to think about what you can do with it in terms of upstretch and downstretch. So upstretch means that you could say, hey, Kia, can we make it better than a Kia? Well, maybe better than a Kia is a Genesis, Sangyong, or whatever. It's an upscale. So you can upscale things or you can downscale things. You can have Armani, then you can have Giorgio Armani, and then you can have Armani Exchange. So you're going to try to milk the brand reputation with different targets, with different price, different market, different distribution, and so forth. So that's very important. And obviously, it's more important for the bee people because the bees company that we're working on have more for this kind of setting, not so much for freight farm, I suppose. But for freight farm or for everybody else, you need to understand the concept of brand equity. What is that? The brand equity is the difference between a branded good and non-branded goods. If I say pet food, it's non-branded, has no brand equity. But if I say Petco food, Petco is a brand. So brand awareness is, do they know about it? Brand association is, can they say something about it? Petco is family friendly. That would be the association. I'm making it up. It doesn't have to be. It's an example. Brand quality is a spectrum from high and low quality. Is where do they put it? In the middle or more towards plus or more towards minus. Brand loyalty is how many people are buying it, how many people care for it. So brand strategies, there's multiple. Flankers is you create many, many brands. The more brands you have created, the more you will control the market share. Cash cow is the concept that you're going to have a brand that is the brand that generates the most sales. Low-end entry level, it's like a downward stretch. High-end prestige, it's an upward stretch. So there are 5 brand strategies. In fact, there's more than 4. There's one more, which is the band at the bottom. Is you have line extension, brand extension, multi-brands, new brands, and co-branding. All of these branding strategies are important, and they are not strategies. They are sub-strategies at the P level for product. Same thing as pricing. So how do you price yourself is dependent on what is the situation of your business. Maybe you price yourself low in order to sell what you have because you don't want to go bankrupt. Maybe you price yourself low because your overall strategy is cost leadership. Maybe you try to do profit maximization because you have a value-added quality of our products, and you try to grow the amount of product and margin that you make in order to create better innovation. Maybe your objective is to grow your market share. Maybe your objective is to be perceived as the better product. Market scheming is when you try to have the highest price as possible. New product pricing is when you try to have the lowest price as possible. The difference between the two is market scheming is you're not going to sell a lot of products, but you're going to have a high image and make a higher profit. New product pricing is you're going to sell more product, but you're going to have very low margins. And therefore, when you start low, you can't go much lower. Is once you're low, and to reduce your prices is very difficult. Then product mix pricing is you're going to have different model. So it's like you have this, you have different options. So you buy this phone and it just does phone. Then that phone also does camera. That phone also does apps, and they have more options. And the more options you have, the more hours you have, the more things you have, the more it becomes expensive. So that's product line pricing. jumping to this is finishing on the issue of distribution. Distribution is expensive, and therefore you need to share the cost of distribution. Being a distributor is a specific job. You can decide to sell directly to the consumer, therefore it's a B2C, but you could also be a B2B, and oftentimes businesses are B2B and B2C, where you will be selling to a R, which is a retailer, or you could sell also to a wholesaler, that's a W, who sells to a retailer, who sells to a consumer. And then you could have also a broker, someone in between the wholesaler and the retailer that will be selling to the consumers. The more intermediaries you have, the more your product's going to be expensive at the end. So you don't add intermediaries because it's fun, is you add intermediaries because it's necessary, because your distribution network requires more intermediaries. So a luxury good has a lot of intermediaries most of the time. Now here's a very important sub-strategies of distribution. It's called pull and push. Pull strategy is you essentially communicate directly to the target, and the target wants your product because they know about the product and they want it. Push strategies is the strategy that consists in making the product sell because of discounts. So 2 for the price of 1 is a push strategy. Advertising in the Super Bowl is a pull strategy. Using a celebrity is a pull strategy. So sometimes you can use both if you have the budget for, and for the benefit of gaining from both, you can do push and pull. Now, when you talk about distribution, is you have the issue of who dominates, who has the most power, the manufacturer who owns the brand, or the distributor who owns the distribution network. Well, there's pluses and minuses. There is a bargaining power between both. The manufacturer owns the quality, the reputation of their brand, the capacity of generating profit for the distributor, and they have consumer loyalty. Similar, the bargaining power of a distributor is also consumer loyalty, is also their reputation, and it's also the fact that they can buy a lot from the manufacturer. So the manufacturer wants to be a good friend, have a good relationship with the distributor because the distributor buys a lot from them. But their biggest strength is the fact that they own the distribution network. The distribution network being an address, Amazon.com, being a location, a specific street in the middle of the location, which is the most interesting area. So distributors, meaning retailers and wholesalers, have all kinds of benefits that they offer to the brand. They transport, they warehouse, they finance, they give information, they share information. That's easy. What's not so easy is to talk about the wholesalers. Who are the wholesalers? So there's the one that buys in large volume and sells large volume. Wholesalers are, for the most part, B2B. But there's other type of wholesalers that are more interesting. They're called the broker or the agent. The difference between the wholesaler and the broker is the broker does not buy the product. They're just an intermediary that does a negotiation between the manufacturer and the wholesaler, between the wholesaler and the retailer. So like a real estate agency. A real estate agency does not buy houses. The real estate agency is looking for seller. A real estate agency is looking for buyer. They put their picture everywhere. They make sure their teeth are white. White teeth, big car, a lot of flags, a lot of business cards, a lot of bus stops, a lot of meetings, networking, going everywhere. You know the mayor of the town. You know everybody in the town. You send a lot of flyers. Your teeth are white, your teeth are white, your teeth are white. You look very friendly. Lots of pictures with big smiles. That's what a broker does. Everybody loves them. Everybody knows them. Everybody knows one day they need them. I want to sell my house. Selling a house is special. It's not a job that I can really do easily. I'm going to find someone who's not going to buy the house, but is going to play for me and find the one that's going to buy. Brokers, if I had to say to students which job is the best to make money fast, is brokers. Look around who's rich. Brokers are rich. Not all brokers. What's difficult to be a broker? What's difficult is to be someone that knows people. You need to know a lot of people. You need to make yourself known by everybody, and you need to solve problems. You're not someone that has problems. You are someone that solves problems. Here's an example. Here's some skis. What's the picture here? It's a pretty picture. Great. Look at so much smile. Everybody smile. Lots of white teeth. Wonderful. What happens 5 minutes after this picture? So I go back. Ha 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 ha, hey, hey, hey. After this picture, same, but everybody's crying. Why are they crying? Because the ski fell, the glove fell, the goggle fell, the kids are crying, and the mommy in the back goes, man, it's a lot of work to bring these people to ski because I end up carrying everything. Ooh, carrying everything? Why don't I create a product? I'm going to call it skis. And it's a little wheel that you can put your skis on it, and you put it in the back, and you just drag the skis, and now you can keep everybody with a smile. Yes. Are you solving a problem? Yes. Do people want it? Yes. Do they know about it? No. 5 years down the road, your garage is full of skis, and you sell about $150 of skis per month on eBay. Are you screwed? You're screwed. Your garage is full of skis. Everybody, if they knew about it, they would want it. But you're not selling anything. What should you do? You should go to ski resorts and put yourself naked in the middle of the ski resort, run with the skis and scream skis and hope everybody takes pictures and put them on your social media. I guess maybe that's an idea, but it's not a good idea. You should go to every store and beg them to carry your product. You've already done that. So what's left to you? I don't know. You go to Shark Tank and you talk about skis. And Barbara Corcoran gives you $50,000 for 15%. And then you become a millionaire. How? Why did you become a millionaire? Because Barbara Corcoran, you know what she did? She grabbed the phone and she talked to Jeff Bezos, her good buddy, and say, okay, you still on for tomorrow golfing? Yeah. If I beat you, I want you to take one of my products. Well, you never beat me. Then she plays golf. She beat him and say, okay, what are you going to sell me now? Skis. I want you to put skis all over Amazon, and I want everybody to know about it. Done. I lost. I always keep my promises. Then he put it on Amazon first page. Nobody knows why. Because these people call. These people in their phone have the name of every president in the world and their ministers and every other CEO that is billionaire. They call each other. They can call each other. They don't have to go with their little bag, knock at the door and ask and beg and cry and throw themselves naked in the middle of the ski resort. They just call and it's done. So what was she doing? She was a broker. She was a part owner broker. Comfy was exactly the same thing. Comfy was some jackets that you wear and it's very comfortable and you can sleep in it and so forth. And she bought parts, and these people that were selling almost nothing became a millionaire overnight. So the promotional mix is therefore to understand the fact that you have to communicate. And what is communication about? It's about 1, to inform, 2, to persuade. So persuade is essentially make people buy, so it's to sell. And 3, to compare, which means that you can tell them what you do and what your competitors are doing. And that helps. But you have to be very careful when you do that, because sometimes people remember that you talked about your competitors and then remember about you. So you were communicating about the brands of your competitors, and the communication, unfortunately, was only remembered about their brand. And then finally, you remind them about your product.